Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, an update to a shooting at an Arlington high school, what we know this evening.
A mayor in the Houston area receives a racially motivated hate mail, launching an FBI investigation.
And pro-Palestinian protests continue today at the University of Texas, Austin. What Governor Greg Abbott has to say.
And I'm sure y'all have all noticed those real windy winds starting to pick up out there this afternoon, but we got lots more of it coming our way this weekend. We'll take a look down the weather coming up.
And the NFL draft is here, and two stars officially begin their watch to hear their names called over the next few days. I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia. An Amber Alert was issued out of San Antonio this afternoon. The victim is a 2-month-old boy, Caleb Gomez. The suspects are 42-year-old Marissa Pena and 51-year-old Eddie Gomez. They were last seen in a white 2009 Chevrolet Silverado license plate number that reads 8J47725CA. Call 911 with any information.
Victoria police arrested a 36-year-old suspect today. Michelle Mendez faces 2 bail jumping and failure to appear felony charges in Wilson County. Mendez is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $115,000 bond. Goliad County deputies arrested 2 suspects last week. 61-year-old Daniel Baskin and 52-year-old Melissa Olson were arrested at a house owned by a dead person in Goliad. They said they owned the house because they paid past due taxes. That's not legal in Texas. Authorities found the couple broke into the house and were selling items that belonged to the lawful heirs. They also went to another house and stole the windows for a greenhouse they wanted to build. The suspects are charged with burglary and remain in the Goliad County Jail in lieu of $60,000 bond. El Campo police arrested 2 suspects early this morning. 26-year-old John Wright of El Campo and 24-year-old Leha Hudlin of Bay City are charged with injury to a child, disabled, or elderly person. They are in the Wharton County Jail in lieu of $106,000 bond.
And now let's take a look at your forecast with meteorologist Parker Cox, who joins us now in the evening.
Thanks, Karina, and good afternoon, folks, in the Crossroads. I'm Sunrise Meteorologist Parker Cox, and you're looking live here in Eastern Victoria. Quite a nice and lovely day out there right now. Actually, quite nice right now, 80 degrees. Lovely, nice, warm day. In fact, look at that beautiful cloud cover over us right now. But all of us are experiencing that lovely near 80 degrees out there right now. But we got lots more of the 80s coming our way over the next couple weeks. But the winds are going to pick up this weekend. We're going to take a look at all of that more in just a few more moments. Back to you, Karina.
Parker, thank you. A Corpus Christi police officer died after he was shot in the line of duty. Kyle Hicks was shot while responding to a domestic disturbance call on April 20th and then died Wednesday. Hicks served the Corpus Christi Police Department for the past 2 years and was married. He leaves behind 4 children.
Police say a 17-year-old was arrested on a murder warrant after fatally shooting a schoolmate on the campus of an Arlington school. The shooting occurred shortly before 3 p.m. Wednesday on the Bowie High School campus. The suspect was arrested a short time later near the campus. The student killed was identified as 18-year-old Atavian Barnes. The 2 students apparently knew each other, but a motive is still unclear. Classes at Bowie High School were canceled for Thursday.
In Texas, there's new legislation aimed at improving safety in schools following recent school shootings.
House Bill 3, which passed last year, will create a requirement for an armed security guard to be present on campuses. Here's your viewer poll this evening. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote. The question is, what is your opinion on the presence of armed security guards on school campuses? And most of our voters, 76% of them, say they strongly support armed security guards on school campuses. We thank you for voting. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we'll have an update on 25 News Now after the NFL draft. Another blockbuster day at the U.S. Supreme Court. The justices heard arguments over former President Donald Trump's claim of total immunity from criminal prosecution.
This is in connection to Trump's reported attempts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. The justices' questions hinted they may reject Trump's claim.
U.S. Supreme Court hearing historic arguments Thursday over former President Donald Trump's claim of absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for official acts as president in the federal election subversion case against him.
Without presidential immunity from criminal prosecution, there can be no presidency as we know it.
Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson pushing back on Trump's attorney's argument.
If the potential for criminal liability is taken off the table, wouldn't there be a significant risk that future presidents would be emboldened to commit crimes with abandon while they're in office?
Justice Brett Kavanaugh pressing the arguments of special counsel Jack Smith's office that there is no constitutional reference to immunity for former presidents.
It's not explicit in the Constitution, but also executive privilege is not explicit in the Constitution.
A middle ground ruling by the court could kick proceedings back to a lower court and further delay the trial of Trump on federal charges that he attempted to subvert the results of the 2020 election. But the court also weighing the implications for presidents beyond Trump.
You also appreciate that we're writing a rule for the ages.
The oral argument stretching nearly 3 hours took place while Trump was in New York, where his trial on criminal hush money charges related to the 2016 election continues.
A president has to have immunity. If you don't have immunity, you just have a ceremonial president. You won't have a
The Supreme Court could issue a ruling in the immunity case at any time before the end of their term in late June. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
More than 50 arrests were made at a pro-Palestinian protest at the University of Texas on Wednesday. Professors then joined students for another walkout and protest today. The demonstrations were immediately met by local police and Texas Department of Public Safety troopers, who say they responded at the request of the university and the direction of Governor Greg Abbott. Abbott took to Twitter to condemn the protests, saying, quote, "These protesters belong in jail," unquote. One student with the university's newspaper says there's a misconception about these walkouts that supposedly, or reportedly rather, underline anti-Semitism.
I would not describe the protests as anti-Semitic whatsoever. There was no anti-Semitic imagery, sentiment being expressed. The protest was pro-Palestine. However, there was no anti-Semitic sentiment expressed whatsoever. No violence toward Jewish students. There were Jewish students participating in the demonstration, and I think that what the governor says there is a real misrepresentation of what happened on campus.
57 people were booked into the Travis County Jail, but a spokesperson says all have had their charges disposed.
Police in Arcola, south of Houston, say its city mayor, a black man, received a package in the mail Tuesday containing a noose. There was also a note inside demanding the mayor withdraw from his race seeking re-election. The police department contacted the FBI and the Postal Inspector's Office to help in the investigation. Mayor Fred A. Burton is seeking his third term as the city's leader. He was re-elected in 2020. The police chief says Mayor Burton has no intention to drop out of the mayoral race.
Tonight, the Victoria ISD Board of Trustees meets. The district may take action on the resignation of Superintendent Quentin Shepard. The board will also review legal issues related to the resignation and appoint an interim superintendent. The board meets at 102 Prophet Drive in the administration building boardroom. We will have more information on 25 News Now at 10. And early voting in Victoria for the May 4th election continued today.
The numbers from the Victoria County Election Administrator look like this. 128 people voted in person early Thursday, 479 in-person votes so far. 54 mail-in votes were received Thursday, 529 mail-in votes so far. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on
YouTube.
Yeah,
that's
stay
right.
with us. In New York, a court overturns Harvey Weinstein's sex crimes convictions. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, what his victims have to say.
Also ahead, a Pentagon report reveals the Biden administration secretly sent missiles to Ukraine. This story and more next. The Pentagon says the U.S. delivered long-range missiles to Ukraine earlier this month. The Biden administration secretly approved their transfer in February for use inside Ukrainian territory. The Pentagon says the missiles were then quietly included in the $300 million aid package announced in March, and they were delivered to Ukraine this month. The initial secrecy was hoped to maintain operational security at Ukraine's request. More of the missiles are expected to be included in the new military assistance package the Pentagon announced Wednesday.
Southwest Airlines is closing operations at 4 airports because of delays with Boeing jet deliveries. Service to Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport will be suspended. Dallas-based Southwest will continue to serve Hobby Airport in Houston. Southwest says it had to address the operational and financial impacts of Boeing's manufacturing delays. Southwest announced it lost $218 million in the first quarter. That's despite a record first quarter gross revenue of $6.3 billion. In a dramatic legal plot twist, the sex crimes conviction of Harvey Weinstein, once considered the most powerful producer in Hollywood, have been overturned by a New York appeals court.
A lawyer for 8 of Weinstein's accusers called the ruling a major step back in holding those accountable for acts of sexual violence.
The stunning reversal comes 4 years after Hollywood power producer Harvey Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in a New York prison on multiple sex crimes, including rape. The 7-justice New York appeals court voted 4-3 to overturn his conviction, with appellate judge Jenny Rivera writing that the trial court erroneously allowed testimony of uncharged alleged prior sexual acts against persons other than the complainants. During Weinstein's New York trial, 3 women were allowed to testify against Weinstein as prior bad acts witnesses, telling the court that Weinstein also took sexual advantage of them as they tried to break into the film business. While prior bad acts testimony may be admissible under federal evidence rules to prove intent or motive, judges have wide discretion to determine what is or is not relevant or is too prejudicial. Judge Rivera wrote that the court compounded its mistakes by letting Weinstein, who had no criminal history prior to his conviction, to be cross-examined on the women's allegations, painting Weinstein in a highly negative light with jurors. Rivera saying that the synergistic effect of these errors was not harmless. Lawyers for Weinstein, who has consistently maintained his innocence, had this to say about Thursday's ruling.
That's how important this case is, that America will uphold the laws of this land for everyone. No one's above the law, but no one's beneath the law either.
The Manhattan District Attorney's Office says it plans to retry the case. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
The Texas oil and natural gas industry shattered jobs records in March. The Texas Workforce Commission reports the upstream sector added 4,500 jobs last month. That's the greatest number of jobs in a single month since June 2011. Over 195,000 people were working in Texas oil and gas extraction sector in March. Those jobs pay among the highest wages in the state, with an average salary of over $124,000.
Well, good afternoon, Crossroaders. We're looking live here in Portland, Vaca. A little bit windy. I'm sure you've noticed those winds have started picking up right now. About 81 degrees down there on the coast, but like I said, winds sustained out of the southeast about 18, but gusting right around 30 miles an hour. We're going to take a look at all that more in your full forecast coming up next. Well, good afternoon, Crossroaders. I'm 25 News Now Sunrise meteorologist Parker Cox, and you're looking live here in Cuero. Look at that beautiful afternoon out there. Look at the cloud cover as well. But also the temperatures, look at that, sitting at 80 degrees right now. Got a nice and lovely afternoon right now. But those winds, look at the winds right now, sustained at 16 miles an hour to the south-southeast. Those winds are going to start picking up. In fact, we're looking at the gust all across the Crossroads right now. You can see we are gusting up to 30. We got a 36 mile an hour gust here reported in Victoria. Quite a windy afternoon out there, folks. But coming our way tonight and into the weekend, look at your weather headlines here. Those winds are going to increase. In fact, that's why we have a windy weekend coming our way, especially on Saturday. But also coming our way this weekend, the clouds are going to decrease just a little bit. We're going to get some partly cloudy skies, and that's going to stick around all week next week. We've got lots of beautiful cloud cover coming away next week. But also coming our way on Sunday, the thunderstorm chances are going to start picking up, as well as the rain chances for most of next week as well. But looking at your wind gust here, you can see as we go into tonight, those winds are going to just slightly pick up just a little bit. I'm thinking gust up to between 35, maybe even a 40 mile an hour gust possible tonight. But especially going into tomorrow and into Saturday, winds are going to be picking up quite a bit. Tomorrow's wind gust, I'm thinking between 40 and maybe a 45 mile an hour gust. But on Saturday, that's where they pick up quite a bit. Saturday's gust is going to be up to 50 miles an hour. It's going to be a windy one. So if you have any potted plants outside, I know I have a big green thumb. I love plants. You might want to take them down or keep them secure so they don't fall and break. But look at your high temperatures for the next 5 days. You can see we're going to be in the 80s, getting to the upper 80s by even next week. We might even hit 90 if we get crazy lucky. But I'm thinking those 80s are going to stick around for quite some time. Actually, I'm thinking the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're officially out of the 70s. And why that is because we've got lots of southerly winds, and just like it is right now, we're going to have lots of that coming away for the next few weeks. And why that is because we've got this low pressure system. You can see it right there spinning right over Arizona and New Mexico, but that is going to slowly push over the Rockies and start redeveloping in the panhandle of Texas as we go into this weekend. In fact, you can see here in the jet stream, this is the upper level that is. Here comes this upper level low. It's going to come right over the Rockies and redevelop right eastern side of Colorado as it exits. And that's going to bring our next lifting mechanism, kind of anything that can lift any kind of parcels in the air and create those showers and thunderstorms as we go into the weekend and next week. But looking at your future tracker here, you can get a little bit better picture here what's going on here, and we get out of the way so you can see high pressure. That high pressure right there, that's going to stay right there in the Gulf for the next 2 to 3 weeks, and that is exactly what's going to keep giving us the southerly winds and keeping us in the 80s. But like I said, coming our way over this weekend, and even as early as tomorrow, we could see some showers. So you can see here plenty of waves of these, so I guess you could call them waves of thunderstorms that keep blowing up off of these two lows that keep coming off the Rockies. But you get a little bit of a closer picture here in the Crossroads. You can see here, I'm thinking as we go into tonight, those mostly cloudy skies, the cloudy skies that we have right now are going to continue. And I'm thinking we might have maybe a couple isolated showers, maybe even a rumble thunder or two coming our way tomorrow. In fact, looking at your future tracker here for tomorrow morning, you can see by 9 a.m. maybe a couple isolated showers out there, but definitely going into the afternoon, maybe a slightly better chance, I'm thinking. But the good news is no severe weather is expected. In fact, here's the severe weather outlook for today. All the big stuff was up there in North Texas near the border of Oklahoma. But tomorrow, not too bad. Actually, the threat shifts up northeast up into the central Great Plains. And then on Sunday, we do have another chance for those thunderstorms coming our way as well. But in Victoria, I'm thinking tomorrow getting up to about 83, very windy with a couple local showers possible. Same thing around Cuero, about 83 tomorrow as well. And about the same thing as well in Port Lavaca, around 82. Windy with those local showers. But like I said, the winds continue this weekend and next week. And we're going to take a look at all that more later this evening. But that's it for weather. I want to remind everyone we do have a QR code. You can put Crossroad Today on our phone. You can get our latest weather hits and our latest news coverage. And here's Karina.
Thank you, Parker. Now here's Zach Brown with your sports.
So teams are officially on the clock, and now a pair of stars, local stars that is, wait to hear their names called for the draft. That's in sports. It is NFL Draft Day, round number 1. Now, the Texans, as of now, don't have a first-round pick unless they trade up. But today, the Dallas Cowboys do have a selection. They will be picking at number 24 today. And while it's a big day for the Crossroads, day 2 is huge for our area. Jonathan Brooks will likely be an early day 2 selection. Brooks was Mr. Texas football back in 2020. That year, he rushed for over 3,500 yards and 62 touchdowns, nearly leading Hallettsville to a state title. And of course, these are just mock drafts and selections, but many early mock drafts have Brooks going to the Dallas Cowboys. We will have wall-to-wall coverage of Brooks' draft day, so stay tuned tomorrow on our Facebook page and website. Now, his Texas teammate and fellow Crossroads superstar Jordan Whittington, who of course is a former Cuero Gobbler, helped the Green and White win a state championship back when Travis Reeve ran the show. In that game, the 4-star athlete had 6 touchdowns with 334 rushing yards, was offensive and defensive MVP. He's 24 years old, and he is a projected day 3 selection, which would be on Saturday. He could be a late round steal for whoever can pick him up. It is state season for a few different sports, but for industrial, they have 2 teams headed to state, that being the boys and girls golf teams, who also won their district. They were practicing earlier this afternoon at the Riverside Golf Course with head coach Rusty Rowe, who is excited to see his athletes compete for a state title.
They're excited of the opportunity. They really handled their business well in district. We were probably the 3rd seed coming away with the district championship, and then we pretty much dominated the regional tournament, leading both days. So I think they're excited to show what we can do at state. It's always about the short game in golf, trying to get better from 10 yards, 15 yards in, trying to minimize strokes. Always working on good shots with your driver and your irons, but really if we can cut 2 or 3 more shots off each round, we'll be able to shoot a personal best this year.
Good luck to the Cobras as they get ready for the state tournament. The Houston Astros at Wrigley Field, Justin Verlander making a second start for Houston. While he was great in his outing, going 4 1/3 innings, not allowing a run, the offense only scored once. Houston loses again. They are 7-19. Dawn, I don't care. It's no longer a small sample size. It is officially time to worry. I don't care that it's just April. The record, in Karina's words, pitiful. They are 6.5 games back of first, but they are quickly running out of time to save their season. By the way, April is almost over. That is it for your sports. Don and Karina, back to you.
Oh, do you have any comments there for Zach?
Well, the Astros, after this loss today, only have 137 games left in this season.
Boom. Well, we're back in a moment. Marking more than 2 decades of Chinese human space flight, China launched the country's 13th crewed mission to the space this morning.
Finally tonight, China launched a spacecraft today to send 3 astronauts into low Earth orbit in the country's 13th crewed mission to space. This marks more than 2 decades of Chinese human spaceflight. The astronauts will replace another crew who arrived at the space station at the end of October. The crew that is in the space station now is scheduled to return to Earth on April 30th. I had forgotten that China is really that active in outer space. And they're getting after, they
low Earth orbit.
Low Earth
like
orbit.
An airplane?
No, it's a little higher than an airplane, I think.
Yeah, actually, we use some of these low Earth orbit satellites to do some of our weather.
Okay, I didn't know that, Parker. Okay,
lower Earth orbit.
Okay, we get it. You went to Texas A&M. We get it.
Lower Earth orbit is just over Parker's head. I mean, literally just over Parker's head.
He's like 6'7" over here.
Hey, Don and Brubaker are both.
But your head can hit the clouds. Well, we have clouds now.
Yes, we've got plenty of clouds out there this afternoon, and I'm thinking that's going to continue just a little bit, but they're actually going to decrease just a little bit as we go into this weekend. Partly cloudy skies, but the winds are picking quite up. They're picking up quite a bit as well.
All right, thank you, Parker, and thanks for joining us.
We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News now after the NFL draft.